Amid Aleph on top of the page. This is the shir for the first day Yom Tov Shavuos. So man shamat lei, who said? So we're talking about the Kohen Gadol, where the animals positioned and where the Kohen Gadol was standing. We said the animals between the mizbech and the Beis Hamikdash, and the animal's head, his length was from the north to the south, but his head was tilted towards the Beis Hamikdash, and the Kohen was standing on the other side of the animal with his back to the mizbech, facing the Beis Hamikdash. Man shamat lei, who's the one who holds the Amud says? Now remember, all animals have to be shechted. The korban chatas to be shechted on the north side. So now there's a big argument, as we're going to see, when we say the north side, is the north side which is parallel to the Mizbech itself. If you look at the Mizbech, it's 32 amas wide. The entire north side of the Mizbech, all the way up to the wall, those 32 amas is where they shechted the animal, but that's it. Or do you also say that the 11 amas between the Mizbech and the Beis Hamikdash, also that north side is included, which would mean then, if you go to the halfway point of that entrance to the Beis Hamikdash, between the Mizbech and the Ulam, you can also shecht those 11 amas, because it's between that and the north. Or you go even further and say that even the other side of the Mizbech, on the eastern side of the Mizbech, including 11 amas of the Ezes Kainim and also the Ezes Yisrael, you can shech there as long as it's in the half that's towards the north. There are three opinions. Our Mishnah seems to say that you can shech between the Mizbech and the Ulam, which means we're not following the opinion that says only according to Mizbech. Follows the view of Rabbi Shimon. The Tanya we learned Ezu Tzafin. What's considered north when we say shechting? Mikir shel Mizbech Tzifayni, from the wall of the north of the Mizbech on the northern side, but at Kaisel Hazara until the wall of Hazara, who can negate Kol HaMizbech Kuli Tzafin. You know what north is? The width of the Mizbech, 32 amas, all the way to that wall. Rabbi Shimon adds Af Bein HaUlim Ulam Mizbeach. Rabbi Shimon adds also between the section between the Mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash itself, also there you're permitted to shech. So therefore you're allowed to actually shech from the midpoint of the doorway. That means between the Mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash you can shech there, which is what our Mishnah says, because wherever you're going to say the video is where you're going to shech. And he's saying video on the animal between the Mizbeach and the door. Rebbe adds, Af Mokum Disizagli, a Kainim, Af Mokum Disizagli. So also the other side of the Mizbeach, with the section of the Kainim and the Yisrael over there, also in the midpoint in the north, you'll have to shech. Remember, protruding from the Beis Hamikdash in the front, you have those two 15 amas sections, that protrudes is called Beis HaChalifis. That's where they kept all the knives, that 24 little rooms there, and each kind of little shelves of like lockers, and every family of 24 families had their own set of knives. And Rashi says, interesting, because my house, my father always used to say, it's called a knife for the chali, it's called a chalif. Where's that come from? A sheikh's knife called a chalif. Rashi said it's an Arabic word. Rashi says, why is it called, interesting, why is it called Beis HaChalifis? Because in Arabic, a khalif is a knife. So why would they use an Arabic word rather than a Hebrew word, base, sakin? I don't know, but that's what it is. Yeah. Says the Gemara, the sakin called chiluf b'loshen arvi. Strange. Anyway, but the section, but then the Beis Hamikdash goes back in. So the area behind the Beis Chalifis, going to the back wall, in other words, west, is not holy, is not the Beis Hamikdash anymore. And from there, you can't really see the Mizbeach. So everyone agrees that from the Beis Chalifis to the north and onwards, you cannot shecht over there. It has to be Yerech HaMizbeach. You have to be able to see the Mizbeach. So the Gemara started off saying that our Mishnah follows Rabbi Shimon, says that you include the section between the Mizbeach and Beis Hamikdash. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? I feel tame by Rebbe. Mona says, no, it could be, you're right, it's Rabbi Elazar, but why can't it be also Rebbe? Because Rebbe is not discounting that you can shech between the Mizbeach and Ulam, but Rebbe is just adding, he's adding to everybody. Not only opposite the Mizbeach, not only between the Mizbeach and the Beis Hamikdash, but also the other side of the Mizbeach, as is Kainim and as is Yisrael, also they can be included. But Rebbe Hash, what are you saying? That is only Rabbi Shimon Elazar. It can also be Rebbe. And I'll tell you what I'm saying. If it's Rebbe, I'll have a problem being Rebbe as well. Then why Dafki over there? It could be anywhere. Elamai Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon. What it says back. So what are you arguing? So Rabbi Shimon holds it to be either opposite the Mizbeach or the section between the Mizbeach and the front. So why does it have to be Dafki between the Mizbeach and the Mizbeach? Make it between the Mizbeach and the wall. You had a problem with the Rebbe. Why not the other side of the Mizbech so everybody can see or something? So I'll ask you the same question for Lazar. He says it doesn't have to be exclusively between the Mizbech and the Beis Hamikdash. You can shecht on the north side of the Mizbech itself. Why not do it there? Because of the week of the Kohen Gadol, we don't want to walk so much. So therefore we bring as close as possible to the Beis Hamikdash. He just walks over and does his reading. No, so it could be either Rebbe or Shimon Lazar, but you're right. It's definitely not the Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda.
So they're saying this is all these areas you can shecht any kabbalas as far as stuff is concerned.
So when the kabbalah that need north, not all kabbalah need north. Yeah.
So even though we have all the drawings, they only show you those rings.
The rings are there, but you don't have to stand next to the ring. You can go forward.
That's only a Kodesh Kodesh, isn't it?
But Shlami, for example, it can be shachled anywhere. Chatas, anything like it. Roish Doram upon of the face facing Maidev. How does that be? How is that possible? Oh, but what I mean, if it's facing the west, sorry, if he's facing the southern wall, how is he facing the west? And what it says simply, but puts his head around. Moving about the nukmal head, why don't you just turn the animal from west to east? Why do you have to have a whole cheshbon in north south and then turn the head around? Isn't that easier? We're worried because if it's pasnished, his back of the animal will be facing his back, and then if he starts excreting dung, it's not nice. And the Rambam seems to be learning that even if it's the Rambam learns it's not actually facing his back. I told you it's north of the mizbech, but you had the mizbech on the side, but still, it's like right next to the mizbech with dung coming out. So pasnished. That's what we learned. Kate said, "How do you do smicha? What's smicha exactly?" So the carbon, whatever the carbon is standing on the north. You talk about any smicha. By kaching, you have to do smicha. The animal, we also had shlami, you do smicha. You put the animal on the north, upon of the maidev, and what do you call it? Facing the maidev, and the back of the animal is facing mizrach. You're placing both of your hands between the horns of the carbon, and you put all your weight on it. There should be nothing intercepting between you and the animal. And that's when you say vidu. When you do smicha, you say vidu. Al chatas of al chatas. If you bring a carbon chatas, you say the sin of your chatas. Al asham of an asham. Those are vedas like tumah, edus, whatever it is. You have to then say whatever the vidu is for that. Al oila. If you bring an oila, you say vidu on things that have no other kapara. So this Tana holds al oilas oven leket ushikha upeya. Meiser Ani. Rashi takes out Meiser Ani because there's no video Rashi says about Meiser Ani, and Tesha already asked, of course, there's video about Meiser Ani, but the others for him, that's not a proper video. The video there is he's saying I did the right thing, not I didn't do the wrong thing. But Ova and Leka Chikapeya, you also they say video for those.
So there's not allowed to actually pick it up.
Sorry,
there's not. Yeah, you know,
there is a lot, but you don't get. We'll see in the Gemara in a minute. There is a lot. But Kiva says ain't oila bar. On those there's no oila. Because there's a lot you get malchus, and malchus, that's your kapara. Oil is only a kapara for things that there's no other kapara for, no alternative. Ela alasei, because what you do kapara asei, and ba'aloises is nitig la'asei, and aloises that is nitig la'asei. So Taisa says l'chayda. So why don't we include, let's say, a lab shebechlos, any lab that you don't get malchus for? Why only be including an asay or a lav hanitig asay? We have a rule that if this lav, we have in our makos, we have in other places, covers many different avedas, you don't get any malchus at all. There's no kapara there. So Taisa, the interesting thing, it says we need it to loy. It's mechaper you on something that you can fix up for the future. There's a partial fixing up. Sukkah, tefillin. You didn't put on tefillin. Okay, but tomorrow you can put on tefillin. But how do you make up for today? I didn't put on tefillin. So therefore, we're going to make a carbon oil. But a lav shebechlalus, there's nothing you can do to make it up. So there's no kapara there. Yeah. And a lav say you can mix it up, fix it up with the nasay. So therefore, all these things would give you also what do you call it? Oh, but so what are they arguing? How can they argue about lekach chepeya? Sabiria says, "Belav and nevela can be forget." They're arguing. Interesting. In the Torah that says you should not eat a nevela. What should you do with it? Like Geir Hashem, we had in Rav Sachem. If you remember, we had Homachleri B'Din Ameda. Like Geir Hashem, B'Sheshecha Tzidnena B'Achla, and so on. We had Homachleri by the Geir and the Geir Toshev. You give to the Geir Toshev first, or do you sell, or whatever. So, the lab is written first, Nali Nevela, and then there's an assay to give it. Now, it's not, nobody will say it's a laving or say, because once you ate the treif, how can you fix it? Nothing to give to the Geir. So obviously, it can't be a laving or say. But the way the Torah records this Aveda and the Asay is not the normal way. Normally, the Torah says, do this, and if you don't do it, you get a lav. Here, the Torah says, don't do it, and because instead, this is what you're supposed to do. So it's not a lav that you're going to say, but it's not written like the lav de chasim. Remember, we had in Mitzvah, that's like, oh, that's the whole way. All the lav we learn out is from lav de chasim, the chachsim shoy bedishoy. You're not allowed to muzzle an animal. And here it's written in a different way. So Rabbi Yossi says, even though it's not a lav adnitig la say, there's no malchus on this lav. There's no malchus. How you never kapara. So therefore, the oila has to be included. Rabbi Kiva says, no, that of course you get malchus on the vela. It's not a lav adnitig la say. So what if the Torah wrote it in a different order? It's not a lav adnitig la say, and therefore you get malchus. If you get malchus, there's no carbon oil, and the same with lekach yichapeya. But the Torah also says, don't keep it for yourself. Give it only like tazav. So there also, it's written not the normal way. So Rabbi Yossi says, therefore, we'll give a what it calls. You don't get an malchus on it, so therefore we are going to include you in the carbon oil. And Rabbi Kiva said, no, you get malchus. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Kiva said, a lav ma'al you. It's a normal lav to get malchus, so there's no oil going for those. Rabbi Kiva says, lav ma'al you. It's not a good ma'al lav because it's written in a different way than normal. Bayom, I disagree with you totally. Kuli alma lav the nevel lav malyu. Because it's written in a different format doesn't change the fact that it's a lav without an say you can rectify it, you'll get malchus. You know, you're arguing with tazav community. They're arguing in the very word tazav. What do you mean? Here it says in the Torah by leket. Forget about the nevela. By leket it says do not keep challah pasach. You shouldn't drink challah, and like only lagay you should give it to them. So, and this is the argument. Rabbi Kiva says, Taza Mikora Mashma. Kiva says, it's not a lav hanitig la say. Rabbi Kiva says that this means the you should leave it, and if you don't, you get a lav. Basically, holds hash to masha. Basically, holds that even after you did the lav, if you give it to a poor man, you fixed it up. So lav hanitig la say. So there's no malchus, and therefore there's no malchus. Oil covers it. Rabbi Kiva says, no, it's a regular lav. It's not a lav hanitig la say. Even though it's written afterwards, leave it for a poor person. And it's not, you'll be even a data, and therefore it's not included in the oil. So what we learned. Kate Meir says the order of the Stam Mishnah and our Mishnah is like a Meir, which says Avisi Poshaiti v'chatasi. Kate Meir, how do you do Avisi Poshaiti v'chatasi? The likewise, B'sim Shaleach, all you do is throw. Say vidui on that seir, but machlekele the vidui on the seir. It's tell them shalech or the chatas, or the one that you bring as a chatas. Huayma, you say the pasuk says we svada olav. You should say vidui on it as kol avonos b'nei Yisrael, all the sins, and that's called pisheim lechol chatas. What's the order? Avonos, shoyim, and then chatas. The chayma Moshe, you find the same order by Moshe Rabbeinu when he was davening on behalf of the Egel, Eden on behalf of Eden. Huayma said no, you say avoin v'fesha v'chato. So oven first, then fesha v'chato. Give it a minute. Chacham say no. Let me explain to you. Avoinus arzdeinus. If you do something deliberate, it's called an oven. That person, if you insulted the Abish's words, then he cut his avoinaba. You deliberately, you have a sin. Shoyim is much worse. Shoyim is Ela Amordim. They're the one who put treason. They rebelled. The king went to Yeshaphat and he said, Melech Moav Pashabi, the king of Moav, is betrayed me. So that's Pashim is far worse than Avoinus, which is only deliberate. And Ba'oimen says, other pasuk, Oz Tifsha Livna, basically Livna, a city called Livna, betrayed as well, or rebelled. L'chol Chat Oisam Elash Gogus, and Chatas is inadvertent. Chenu Oimen, it says a pasuk, Nefesh Kisech Mishgoga. So Chet is Shegig. Now you tell me the first thing you said was avoinus, which is amazing. If you're asking Hashem to forgive from me, so it makes sense. If the angel will forgive you on the one you did deliberate, what are you asking now? Of course, it will be meichayiv for the individual. It should be the other way around. First of all, you start with the small things. Chatasi, I did a little aveda, and then you go a bit further. VC, I did a bigger aveda, and then I'll talk to them the prashaki. You start off small, hopefully you get them aside. You start with the very big ones, you lost them already. We find in fact the same order by David. It says by David, Chatanu im aveseinu he'avinu hishanu. First Chatanu, then Avinu, and then Hishanu. Working your way up. We find it says the label we said again. He said Chatanu v'Avinu l'shanu Chaim b'Daniel. When he did tshuva, he said again. He said Chatanu v'Avinu, and he said Shanu u'maradu. Start from bottom up. Elamau, I Moshe Rabbeinu. How come he said Noisi Oven Befesh Chato? If that he's supposed to do, he should have said Chato Oven Pesha. Why did he say Oven Pesha Chato? Oh, Moshe Baruch B'Shashi. This is what he said. He's different two altogether. We're going to learn the ending of Gemara Yuma that if you do Tshuva Me'ava, your Avenas become mitzvahs. If you do Tshuva Me'yida, your Avenas become Shagi. And Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Yebish, Chalapach is Shagi. Why he says no, you say Oven Vechara. He said, do me a favor, take all the Avodah Shagi did and turn it into Chatoim, make them into Chisa Shagi. That's the best I can ask. But Oisin Tshuva, that's what his question was. The Gemara does not deal with the other pasuk he brought. He brought by not only from Moshe Rabbeinu, but he brought by Yom Kippur. It says V'sfadu all the Avodah Yisrael is Kol Peshach HaTos, and the Gemara doesn't deal with that. Unless it's the same thing. Chalapachas treated like a shogeg. Isn't that the rule? You always follow the rabbim. They mouth him a time, but Amei decided to cry. Amei has a pasuk, Moshe Rabbeinu, and a pasuk by Yom Kippur. The Moshe Kamashlan, no. From that's when the halacha is like rabbim. Even though Amei makes sense. There was a chazan that went to the Amid when the Rabbi was sitting there. The Abba and he followed a Meir, which is, he started off saying, Avisi Pashaiti Chatasi. Amalei, he made a comment. Now, there's two ways of reading the Gemara. Shavkit Rameh, either he was making a statement. He didn't follow the opinion of Chachamim, but he followed the opinion of Meir. Or he was asking a question. You didn't follow the opinion of Chachamim, you followed Meir. Amalei, he answered back, Rameh Svirli. I'm guessing, like Rameh, can see Besefer, or I said the Moshe, and Abba didn't say anything. Big ruckus and halacha. So who's the halacha like? Is the halacha like like Moshe Rabbeinu, like the Chachamim, because Yochanan Rabbi? Other Rishonim pass no, the halacha like a Meir for two reasons. Stam Mishnah, because the rule is a Stam Mishnah even against a Rabbi will pass like a Stam Mishnah, and our Stam Mishnah clearly holds like a Meir. Number one. Number two, because of the story, Rabbi didn't mix in. But you know that the Rebbe always used to say that he doesn't mix it. All the Rebbeim never mixed into what the Chazanim or the Gaboim did. If the Gaboim ran the shul, you can't bring a raya. That's how the minhag of Lubavitch is, because the Rebbeim didn't intervene, didn't mix in. So you see, right in the Gemara. You see, right in the Gemara. If the halach and the halach is like Zarbanan, how come Rabbi didn't say anything? He just asked a question, thinking that they'll figure it out for themselves. But he did not rule which one way or another because he didn't mix into the Maaseh Gabois. The Shag says, I asked the question, and he remains over the question. I don't know what the answer is. He said, you don't understand Ameya. So Chum say you work your bottom up, right? You start from Chotosi, then you go to Avisi, then Pashai. What's Ameya saying? You start from the top down, but it's not. He says, Ameya says, Avisi, then Pashai goes up, and then Chotosi goes down. What order is that? It's Nishtah Nishtahim. And he remains to the Sorach, he doesn't understand what's trying to hear in Ameya. But that's what it says in Torah. Says the Gemara, tell them what we learned. The chippah, said the pasuk. The chippah, what does the chippah mean? Is being sprinkled the blood. When by Yom Kippur, said the chippah means the kaparas, the blood. You know what it means. How do you know it's talking about vida here? So it says taka by the Seir Mishtalech. His father's chatosim. I know this means vida. So we type when it says the word the chippah, the pasuk, it means how do you mechaper through vida by saying vida. Because it says that Aaron should bring his chata shaloi. The chippah ba'adoyu ba'ad beisai. Is it the sprinkling of the blood of the chata that does the kapara? It's the vida. And how do you know? Maybe it means when you sprinkle the blood. Had any done, I will make the following. Nemra kind of says here kapara. But Nemra lahal later on kapara ma kapara amura b'seir devarim. Just like the kapara which says by the Seir Mishtalech. By Seir Mishtalech, definitely kapara over there does not mean sprinkling the blood. How do we know that? Because you throw it off the cliff. There's no sprinkling the blood. So obviously over there, kippur means what? It means vidui af kapora amura bepar. Also too by the kapora that you do by the par. Is dvarim means vidui. Even if you're going to argue and say how do you it says the hikrib Aaron is parachatas that Aaron should bring the parachatas shaloi. He should bring his parachatas, and it says the chippah ba'adoi ba'abeisai. You can ask me a question. I have another ayat. It says that Aaron should bring his parachat, the same part we were talking about before, and it says the chippah ba'adoi ba'abeisai, and right, and yet ba'dayil and ishcha. The next psukim it says that he's shachted. That other pasuk. That's clearly where chippah over there means vidui. Now, what's the question that we're bavarning here? What question could you have asked? Because the chitem you can say, "Neiliv m'seira nasa b'pnim." Why don't we learn? Don't learn from the seira mishtaleach where there's no blood. Learn from the seira chata that does b'pnim. And over there, shekaprasim damim. And their taka the kapara is not the video. The kapara is bedamim. By damim, because written right after you sprinkle the blood, it says the chipper there. And also, there's no vidui by the seir chatas, so it must be the damim. So how you know which seir we're comparing it to? The seir mishtalech or the seir that's nasim b'fnim? It says the pasuk the chipper by dainlish part. So we bring the second pasuk where it says the chipper in the prayer wasn't brought. Because you want to menayin, how do you go to the Mishnah? Menayin, how do you know Sheba Ona? How do you know you say Ona Hashem? How do you know you say that this is how Vida begins? Nema kan kapara. Over here it says kapara. But nema lahalon it says also by the Egel Moshe Rabbeinu says the kapara. Malahalon, just like over there it says Ona Avkan. It's Ona Cheto Amazeh. You started with the word Ona, so over here also it started with the word Ona. Umenayin shebeshem nema. How do you know you include Ona Hashem? Kan nema kan kapara. It says here by Yom Kippur kapara. But nema be'egla rufa over there also you have kapara. It says kapara lamcha. It says kapara. Mala alam b'shem. Over there it says kapara lamchi. So over there it says b'dei b'shem name asher podis Hashem. So therefore avkan b'shem. Over here also b'shem. You can't say why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't use the Abish name. He should have learned it from Egla Rufa because this is what Moshe said. What do you want? You can make a limit to something and change the story around. Egla Rufa tell him why by Egla Rufa don't they say honor? If you're telling me that every time you say video you have to say honor, and we're learning from Egla Rufa that you have to add Abish's name, why talk about Egla Rufa when it says over there, why don't we also say honor by Egla Rufa? But now we learned the Mishnah Kohanim says exactly what they should say. Kashu, tak have a problem. Let's just finish with the Mishnah. In Tanya, Rebbe says, how do you know they're supposed to answer anything at all? Maybe the Kohen Gadol says it's video on Hashem, and that's it. How do you know you say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olav? So Gemara says, it says the pasuk Shem Hashem Ekram says the Hazinu. Whenever we call out David's name, you should give a response and give tribute to the Eibishter. Whenever I said David's name, you should answer that. That's the source of Baruch. That's right. But this is where the Rishonim learn, because no one in the Gemara say you have to say Baruch Shmai. We learn from right here. Hananiah ben Achei Rabbi Yeshua. Hananiah, the nephew of Rabbi Yeshua, Omer says from another passage, Zeichet Tzadik Bracha. Whenever you mention a Tzadik, you have to make him mention a Bracha. Omelem Navli Yisrael. B'Shosh Ani Masket Tzadik. Whenever I say Tzadik, I'm talking the ultimate Tzadik, the Eibusha, the one who's just in all the worlds. Atem through bracha. Whenever it says tzaddik le bracha, you have to give a bracha. So therefore, you say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchus Olav. Okay, everyone should have a good Yom Tov. Kabbalah Zatzeda, B'Simcha, B'Pnimius.